What do you call a Frenchman wearing sandals?
Why? I don't see the connection, but I don't know.
Philippe Falap.
I'm sure he'll really appreciate that joke. Hello and welcome to The Four Top. It's a roundtable discussion of today's hot button topics in the wine and food world. I am your host, Katherine Cole.
And I am your co-host, Martin Reyes.
Hello, Martin. So we have discussed a lot of very heavy issues during this wine season and our first wine season. I'm really proud of what we've pulled together. I'm proud of our discussions related to sustainability, diversity, labor rights, tech, finance, power. And you know what? My head is starting to hurt. I think we need a break. I think we just need to kick back and talk about something a little simpler.
I know, right? It's been fairly heavy. We've done a lot of work, some good work, some, like you said, stretched out into topics that maybe are outside of our comfort zone, both in terms of listening to each other and also in terms of education, personal growth, and all that stuff. And I'm excited to just kick back, shoot the shit a little bit with some great, amazing, amusing, hilarious people. So we are going to call this episode Cold Wine Hot Takes.
That's my sizzling sound I just made.
Cold wine.
I am really looking forward to this episode. I'm looking forward to kvetching and complaining with our guests about the wine world and what it's like to be in it, because I think they both get the fundamental fact about wine, which is that it should not be taken too seriously. I think so many of us in the wine industry, we get so caught up in everything. As you know, Martin, you go to trade events and you go to seminars and everyone's very serious. And come on, everybody, it's just wine. It's just wine.
Yeah, we're all guilty of taking it too seriously. If we can start from the premise of not taking it seriously and then just build on that, making sure it's always fun, that's, I think, the key to unlocking so many things around this. And I can't think of anybody who better personifies the idea that wine is both endlessly interesting and entertaining and just plain old fun than Philippe André. Philippe is the U.S. ambassador at Charles Heidsieck, pronounced Heidsieck. Champagne.
Very, very good.
Thank you. I hope it's the right pronunciation. It's a little German action there. And senior business development manager at Folio Fine Wine Partners. He has a kind of signature pose and, dare I say, this awesome, unique slant on the bon vivant man that just makes me grin. He's holding a glass of wine and makes a face like that's just like, this is awesome. And really, and the music that he pairs with it's too cool. You can see some of the examples on his Instagram feed. Nique Somme, that's Nique, from his family's renowned Chicago restaurant, Oceanique. That's where Philippe got to start in the wine cellar.
Oh, yeah. I remember Oceanique from when I lived in Chicago, and that was more than 20 years ago, and it was already a total legend back then, the wine cellar. I get the shivers when I think about the fact that Philippe came from that background, because such a fantastic restaurant. And I am also delighted to announce that Marissa Ross was able to join us for this episode. I am such a Marissa Ross fan. I'm so excited about this. She is a self-described writer, humorist, and leisure enthusiast. She is the author of the book Wine All the Time. She's the former wine editor at Bon Appetit magazine. She's also noted for speaking out in outlets such as the New York Times about sexual harassment and abuse in the wine industry. So I know she can talk seriously about our industry, and I really admire her for all she has done, but I'm excited to hear her just be natural and relaxed and not talk about all these sort of stressful issues that she's done such an amazing job.
She's best known for what is it?
Well, she's best known for being a proponent of natural wines, actually. Yeah. And I think she's actually responsible for turning a lot of Gen Z kids onto wine. I call them kids because I'm so old. Convinced a whole group of young folks to become wine enthusiasts because of her writing and communication about natural wines. So she's amazing.
The Gen Z kids, yeah. And also a little known fact that I hold dear to my heart. 8 years ago, we both shared a page in Wine Enthusiast as back in the day when there was top 40 under 40 tastemakers of America, and we shared a couch and stories, and I think we're there like on page 32 together. Back when I was under 40.
Oh, he remembers the page.
Assuming it's page 32, because that's
Oh,
probably
okay.
how old I was at the time or something. Anyways, I'm excited about this episode. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. We have two categories we are going to attack this evening. One of those is topics we're sick of, things we have had enough of in the wine world. The other is hills we would die on, topics we would defend to the death. So let's start on the negative because we're all feeling negative this evening. What are we all sick of in the wine world? What are we just so tired of? Martine, you and I were talking earlier today, and I think you have some feelings about people who diss on points.
So the whole category of points on wines, there was this reaction of saying, I like points, I want my 95-point wine. And then collectively, the wine industry mocks the people who use a score to make a decision, a buying decision, right? And it's really easy to do that because we're like, there's much more there. Wine's just not a numerical value. You can uncover things, and that point was just that one day at that one time, and it could be unpredictable. And all that's true. But who are we talking to? And there are some people who simply just want a good glass of wine, and they don't want to think any more about it. And most of us in the trade are used to overthinking shit about wine all the time. And so the points to us is anathema. It's too simplistic, but sometimes people need simplicity. And I'm going to go further and say, for all those people who actually trash points, whether you're a winemaker, an enologist, a sommelier, whatever, when there's a wine with a high score, isn't it easier to sell that wine? I don't sell my wines on scores, but when I get a high score, I'm actually kind of excited. And I'm kind of proud of it. It's another point of affirmation. The wine industry, consumers, various people need various kinds of affirmation. So I think points serve a purpose. It's an imperfect purpose, but it should be celebrated as another way of having a dialogue, of being able to choose a bottle of wine that's comfortable on the shelf when you are somebody who's busy and you just want something simple. And you say, that received 88, Best Buy, gold medal, silver medal, whatever it is. Just take the damn bottle, go home, enjoy it, and then don't let the critics who say, your points are just like so banal, you're just so simplistic. It's fine. You're not talking to them. Let them have their life.
Okay, I have words for this, but I want to hear from Marissa.
Oh, I mean, I definitely have some words for this. And granted, this could be something that happened only with me this one time, but I just don't think that that's the case. Where I was a judge at a wine competition,
Mm-hmm.
and I found that the people I was sitting with, and also too, like, I don't know why the hell I was there. Like, I'm totally not the person that should have been doing it, considering like I have focused my career on natural wine, and these were no natural wines. But what I found was that most of the people that were giving the highest scores, what they were doing was there were people that were all working in the industry that supported that wine in a different way. Like, for example, the woman sitting next to me, she sold French oak barrels for her career. So she rated everything that had French oak super, super high. And then there was like someone next to me that was an ambassador for like Italian wine. So they rated all the Italian wines like really, really high. And it made me really feel like it wasn't an actual honest score, because it's like people are voting for what is going to be profitable for them. And I can't blame them.
Not every competition is the same. Not every critic is the same. Well, obviously, we have different.
True.
You have different points. IWC and Decanter. I judge both. They're very rigorous. They're blind. You
Okay,
actually have
tell the listeners
consensus.
what IWC is.
International Wine Challenge, which is like legitimately you have to be stringent in your opinions. Marissa, I get your point. The point is that there is plenty of conflict of interests around numericals, around medals and judges. I totally get that. I'm suggesting that the ones that we're talking about are the ones that are commercial, like if they're wine enthusiast or a Parker or advocate. If you like one of these critics or if you just enjoy seeing something that allows you, the normal wine consumer who's into commodity, who just wants a glass and doesn't want to think about it, sometimes points have a useful purpose. Absolutely right that the systems and the judges are rife with potential conflicts and potential controversies and stories of all kinds of stuff. But I just wanted to point out that it's useful for certain people, even if they're not the people that we often talk to.
I think that's totally fair.
I think points are a social crutch, but Philippe.
Yeah, so is perfume and cologne and hairdo and makeup.
Philippe, I want to hear from you.
Thanks. I appreciate the beautiful picture that has been painted, Martin. I think points are extremely valuable and extremely relevant. I think we also need to be very clear and transparent that they are extremely flawed, as we heard.
Yes. Yes.
But the thing that I want to share that I'm frustrated with is the pretense in our industry. The "you can't sit with us because you're too cool" vibe that I've gotten almost my entire professional career. I've had to navigate that in the best of ways. I've been very fortunate and privileged to be invited to a lot of those tables. And I probably am part of the problem, but I am very cognizant in trying to dismantle that by getting people to find what they actually like and explore on their own rather than force feeding like this is what is the best, and this is our blah 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 property blah blah blah. And then I get it, like we all have to sell wine, we all have to sell a story, we have to sell a place and convince a consumer to try our wine. I am just sometimes really fed up with that rhetoric to basically convince and sway people when it's like I just really want it to be as authentic and as genuine as possible when this world that we live in is very inauthentic. And how do we find ourselves in a better balance of being authentic for the new generation of wine lovers and potential wine consumers? So I think that would be my biggest gripe is authenticity and inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that leads into something else around the another example of something that people have a strong opinion for or against, like trophy wines, and therefore those who collect trophy wines, trophy collectors, or luxury only, or sought after, or like the term unicorn wines.
Fuck off. That's what I have to say about those people. Not you, Martin.
No, I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
No, it's like people that just collect those. I'm like, you're a clout chaser.
Yeah. Why are you doing this? Yeah.
You're chasing clout. Like you're not actually doing it for the love of wine. So it just that shit pisses me off.
It's status. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever had the experience where you're lucky enough to be at an amazing dinner and someone opens like a $5,000 bottle of wine and you immediately start thinking about how many hungry children could be fed with the amount of money they paid for that? And I'm just like, yes, it's delicious, but is it really that much more delicious than a $40 Oregon Pinot Noir that I can just pick up like anywhere?
Oh, it is. It is.
I mean,
Philippe, you are part of the problem. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Like I said,
unicorn wines can be amazing, but if you're just collecting those, like fuck off. Like if that's the only thing.
Yeah.
It's not that they're not good. It's just like fuck off if that's like your only interest in wine. I got the passion.
When I first started in my professional dive into wine, I started off drinking kind of like the crazy expensive stuff because I wanted to know what was this all about? Like, why is it the best, And my dad would always give me shit because he's like, dude, you're drinking Grand Cru on a fucking Village budget,
Mm-hmm.
And it was important for me to see that at the time because it like hooked me into like the struggle. I can only afford one of these bottles once a month. So like, I'm going to put everything I can into getting to that bottle and then finding the next one and the next one. And of course I would drink a bunch of other stuff along the way. But what it did, I think for me professionally, is it gave me so much like respect for those $9 bottles that were bangers and that I could crush every single day and be really confident about when a guest would come in and ask for a great glass of wine. I knew that I wasn't going to, break their bank, but at the same time, I was going to offer them great value. I was going to go with their meal. And yes, if folks want to come out and ball out, like, yes, you got to know what those are about. And to your point, you need to be able to explain, like, why is it $5,000 a bottle versus a $500 bottle or even a $50 bottle? Like, why is that? And for me, it was important for me to basically, go for a test drive to know what I was selling. But at the same time to encourage me to keep wanting to explore my wine world. So I have a range of emotions about it. The people that are only unicorn suckers, they're part of the vibe, and I get it. It's kind of a whose dick is bigger kind of vibe thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
I don't think we need to perpetuate, but I would just encourage people to find, like stuff that those wines inspire them to find. So I think those are relevant wines. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, my wine career started on the exact opposite end. Like, my wine career started with me, literally reviewing wines as a comedian, all wines under $10 from a grocery store.
Yes. God bless you for that, Marissa.
Thank you. And that's why, I feel very confident. It's like I'm coming up from the gutter, the bottom of the barrel shit.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here. It's
true, but I'm not where you are, obviously, because I've only had a couple quote unquote unicorn bottles because being a wine writer, anyone listening, it's not gonna pay your bills.
Oh no!
Don't bother emailing me anymore. Being a wine writer, just have it as a hobby. So you can't afford those unicorn bottles because it's the only times I've been able to even drink things like that is when people have been gracious enough to share them with me. And that comes at a cost, in a weird way where you're
why did I make out with you? No, I'm kidding.
Yes, it's along those lines. Exactly.
It's a very different experience. And almost from my end, it's always been how do I bridge that gap coming from the opposite end? How do I get the people that are already buying $9 of shitty wine to buy something that's more like those unicorn wines?
Mm-hmm.
But I found that most of the people that are yo, you want to try this really, really special wine? It's they're fucking dickbag.
Wow, Marissa, you've perfected the bro tone.
Yeah. We all knew exactly who you were talking about. I know that
guy. Oh, yeah.
I've made out with that guy. Okay, so Marissa, mentioning the amazing remuneration we get as wine journalists, can I go off for a second about the concept of barrel tasting? Because when I was writing for the Oregonian and getting $500 per article, and every article I had to drive to wine country, interview someone, take photographs, I had to load it on the website. It took hours and hours and hours. And so people were constantly emailing me and asking or calling me why won't you come out and barrel taste with me at my winery? And I was because I am not getting paid to drive an hour and a half to your winery and then drive an hour and a half home and not have a story. B, someone explained to me why barrel tasting is so magical. Because as far as I can tell, every time I barrel tasted, maybe I'm going to sound like an imbecile here, but to me, it tastes like a wine that's halfway done.
My thing with barrel tasting is on the other end of it, where I would be in Europe and on a wine whatever trip, and I would taste something from the barrel and I'd love it so much. It'd be just this delicious yum yum yum, perfect, oh my god, I can't. And then it's it gets to the States a year later and I'm this is a totally different wine. I don't want to write about this wine.
Exactly.
So why did I take the time to take all these notes about the barrel tasting? Aside from yes, there can be something said about an evolution of a wine, but there's only so many stories that you can write about that. Coming at it from a wine writing perspective, it's
it's a baby. I don't want the baby. I want the grown up.
Or I do want the baby.
And it's never the experience the consumer is going to have.
Never.
No.
Well, and that's the thing with all wine, isn't it?
But it's hey, wait, hold on, wait. As somebody who manages maybe 110 barrels right now in a warehouse, I can tell you that.
All right, fancy.
No, it's not fancy. Look,
I'm teasing you.
Fair enough. I've set myself up. But the point is, what the authentic request would be is if somebody is interested in your wine, whether it's a writer or a VIP from your wine club, we believe that we worked hard on it, and we know that there's an evolution from grape to barrel to bottle. Hey, here's something that you can taste early on. You are here on this day. You taste this way. It's going to evolve. And then when it's bottled, you get to experience the narrative. Now, let me tell you, 99% of the people who drink my wines don't give a shit about the narrative. I get that. But for the 1% who say, I do want to see what your 17 cab is right in barrel, and then a year later, once it's bottled, 2 years later, and then 5 years later, and then 10 years later, I was there for that winery that I loved, that I follow, that then I share my story along with theirs and I see the evolution. The only problem is the winemakers and the producers should acknowledge that it takes time and investment for the people who are inviting, like Katherine said, driving an hour and a half out and an hour and a half back. I get it. It's not for, it's like a VIP version of like diving in behind the scenes. Behind the scenes is boring if you think the movie is average. But if it's one of your favorite movies, you're going to be like, oh, dude, I want to see the outtakes. I want to see the director's cut. I want to see all these things, right? So it's a level of interest. I just want to throw that out there.
I agree with you on that. Like, there's been, I mean, I think the thing is that I enjoy barrel tastings too much, and then I get like, and then I get super bummed out. Christian Schita is one of my like favorite winemakers, this Austrian winemaker, and like I wrote like paragraphs about like every single barrel taste, like whatever. And then it's like I get the wines and I'm like, well, this doesn't track. And as a writer, it's like, how many stories can you really write about like an evolution of a wine?
Yeah. They barely resemble the wine it used to be.
But you nailed that one, Dad.
Boom.
Okay, Philippe, though, I actually do kind of dig a base wine tasting. And for those listeners, it's the first wine before you get to the second wine, which is a traditional method or a champagne method sparkling wine. But Philippe, what do you think about barrel tastings?
It's fascinating. I think I've been fortunate to taste from barrel quite a bit. And the barrel tasting for me, like, helped me understand what the pieces of the puzzle the winemaker is working with. But I do understand completely how frustrating it can be when the wine evolves so drastically, which is normal. Now, in Champagne, when we do base wine tasting or Von Clair tasting, for instance, at our winery, we make about 280 different wines each year and then blend them, and then 60 make the cut for the bottling each year. And it's kind of like this wizardry where I'm like, dude, our winemakers are like, they're like chefs. And my dad's a chef. I'm not really, I am not a chef. So let's be clear about that, like, kind of skill set that I just personally don't have a passion to develop or a natural skill set to like want to fuck with personally. I like the end results. I love foie gras when it's perfectly seared. I am not trying to mess up foie gras, right? Champagne is a super complex way of making wine, in my opinion. So yeah, Von Clair tasting is cool. It's fascinating. But I can see how it can be really frustrating for some people to try that and be like, that is absolutely nothing like what's coming out of the bottle right now. I think it's our job as a winery to make sure that whatever comes out of the bottle is delicious and makes them want to have another glass. So I see it both ends.
Yeah, and I was like to go on that, like in terms of the winemaking side and like having respect for winemakers and like the craft that they do. Like I do think that barrel tastings, they're a very good experience to like understand the evolution and like understand like the craft that goes into it, for sure. Just also sometimes it's like, wait, why am I doing this?
Oh, true, completely true. I forced my wife to do a barrel tasting with me for the first time that I took her to Oregon, and it was actually her first time really doing a big wine trip. I realized that, I'm a little different and I need to be a little more cognizant. Trying to go and barrel taste at 4 or 5 wineries in a day is probably not, what she's into the way that, I am. But it's fatiguing. It's exhausting. And
yeah,
those wines.
I think that's the big thing is it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Speaking of exhausting, Marissa, you wanted to talk about hobbyist winemakers. Did you want to go into that?
I mean, I don't know if you guys know this because, we're talking about hills we're willing to die on. Natural wine is something that that is the hill that I have already died on. I would be willing to die on it again, but it's also the thing I can complain about the most, especially as someone that needs to probably take accountability for how obnoxious it's become as the asshole that decided to put it in Bon Appetit for 5 years and promote a culture of like just drinking out of the bottle and putting it on Instagram to rap music. Like I feel like I need to be accountable for my actions of making natural wine so fucking annoying. But one of the most annoying things about natural wine now, hobbyist winemakers. All these people that like, I can't believe the amount of people that are like, hey, I just moved here from Australia, I had an amazing job as a commercial director, but now I'm going to make wine in like a garage in LA because I went to Paris once and I got so like high off of natural wine. And I'm just like, what? There's all these like hobbyist winemakers where I'm like, damn, it must be so great to like be a Bitcoin billionaire to where you're just decided to abandon your entire life to like make quote unquote make wine when you're like, I don't know, I tasted natural wine once and now I'm gonna like fucking make it. It's so disrespectful to the craft of it on so many levels. And also too, it just I'll admit I'm a petty bitch. And I'm like, how the hell do you have the money to just like quit your job and like be a winemaker? Like, that's not something you could just like make money doing. And it's like, bitch, how'd you get all this money? Like, what trust fund do you have? Like, who are you married to? Like, how do you live this way? Like, and they're making shitty wine on top of that because they're doing it in a fucking garage.
So I have this thing with wine. It's like with art. It's like, Picasso was great, but we knew before he went abstract, he was able to make these beautiful, like almost photographically accurate
You have to know the rules
renderings.
to break them.
Know the rules to break them. Yes.
Yeah.
Like my favorite natural
Yes.
winemakers are the ones who have made technically perfect wines. I have tasted them and then
Yes.
they have decided to go in a different direction. But yes, I'm so with you, Marissa.
There's so many people that have worked their whole lives and like dedicated themselves to this craft and like really work hard at it. As someone that didn't go to college and has never taken a wine course in her life and yet has become like a wine quote unquote expert, I can see how maybe it's a little hypocritical for me to be like, hobbyists, stop it. Like, you got to practice first. Like, there's just people that are like just like coming out the gate being like, I deserve my wine to be at these places. And it's like, you don't necessarily just deserve something because you're experimenting around with a couple barrels.
And they got a great graphic designer to make their label.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, Philippe, has natural wine ever crossed your lips? I'm just curious. Or is it all just like fantastic champagne and Burgundy?
No, I served it. I served it at my wedding before it was even cool. 8 years ago. I love natural wine when it's not flawed.
Yeah. Well, when it's not faulted, there's a lot of flawed natural wine, but that make it
overly flawed or overly faulted. However, personally, I think the easiest way to like kind of dilute it for everyone or deduce it is I like when I can taste what varietal I'm drinking, and I also like to be able to taste where it's from.
Dude,
so
that's exactly it.
As long as I can have those two things, I will drink the shit out whatever is in front of me.
My thing is like a great wine should have a sense of place, a sense of fruit, and a sense of producer, and all those things should be in balance.
Yeah.
And the thing with natural wine, and again, I don't know what asshole started writing about it nonstop in Bon Appetit and fucked it up for everybody, made it popular.
You had one job.
But I had one job. And,
you inspired a generation of young drinkers, and you should be proud of that.
Well, thank you. Well, but I've inspired a generation of young drinkers to be like super obnoxious. So going back to like what Philippe said about like the cool, like cool kids, like even with unicorn wines. Now that's the same shit with natural wine.
Yeah.
Like I'm not cool enough to like go to like the natural wine shit that's happening in LA. Are you kidding me? They're like, she's over the hill. She's 36 years old. Like, no way. He's done.
As a 48-year-old, I can't accept that. Come on, Marissa. I think of all the 20-somethings who might have reached for a hard seltzer, but instead they reached for a natural wine, and it's because of you.
Thank you, Marissa Ross.
Yes. Except they might have then grabbed a hard seltzer because then I tried to troll the internet by only drinking White Claw for like a whole season. So I probably am also. I'm also probably a part of that problem too.
I will say it is fascinating to see how there are these crews or cliques of wine lovers, and they are so defined that like when you try to show them something that they're not part of their crew, they instantly are like, my nose is now up, in the air. And before it was old white women telling me that they don't like Chardonnay, and then when I pour them Chablis, they're like, this is so good. And like we've all heard that joke a zillion times, but like that happened to me on the floor when I was working as a somm. Like I had to, convince or persuade or frankly trick my guests into trying the wine that I knew they would like, in order for them to have an open mind about it.
We are delighted to be sponsored by Grand Moraine, right here in Oregon's Willamette Valley. Grand Moraine Vineyard is located on the wild western edge of the Yamhill-Carlton AVA in the foothills of the Coast Range. If you plan to visit Oregon or if you live here, definitely reserve a tasting and get on down there. Grand Moraine is a beautiful open-air winery in a lovely hillside spot. And according to the talking points I'm looking at right now, you'll know you've arrived when your car windows start pulsing in time with the music reverberating from the open-air winery. Oh yeah, that sounds like a party. But you know what's actually a party? Winemaker Shane Moore's Pinot Noirs are a party on the palate. I love his wines. His Pinots are polished and elegant with vibrant acidity. I'm a huge fan of his Chardonnays. They're just so silky and delicious. And of course, his sparkling wines. These wines are a party on the palate, folks. And you know you've got to try these, so get online, reserve that tasting, and you can also order some wines. You can use the promo code FOURTOP, FOURTOP, for free shipping. That's at grandmoraine.com, GRANMORAINE, grandmoraine.com. Thank you, Grand Moraine. We love your style.
But I wanted to switch gears a little bit because I want to talk about winemakers who are flaunting their hotness on social media, Instagram. Katherine, tell us about this idea.
Wait, this is
Yeah.
your topic. This is your topic. Okay,
But
okay.
you have an opinion about it.
I do have an opinion because I'm from Oregon. So I think winemakers need to be wearing Carhartts and they need to be kind of like a little bit muddy and like their hair needs to be messed up. And I can't deal like when I'm
Do they though?
okay, when I meet a winemaker from Napa, they tend
What?
to be
Hey,
or Bordeaux for that matter. They tend to be like way too like, why are you dressed up? Like you should be getting dirty doing your job. And then these winemakers, I'm not going to name names, especially if it's a guy. It drives me bananas for some reason. I'm sorry. I don't want to see your pecs. I want to see you making the wine.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with a wine influencer on Instagram being gorgeous and beautiful and whatever. But if
I
you're,
hate that shit too.
I you know what? My feeling is you do you. That's fine. But if you're making my wine, I want to see that you're up to your elbows. You've got pigment up to your elbows. I want to see that you're just disgusting and dirty, and like all you do is just make wine all day. And there's some gorgeous, beautiful people in Oregon who make wine, and they look so unglamorous in their Instagram, and that's the way I like it. No gel, no hair gel.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good one. As someone that's been called a wine influencer many, many times, I hate that term. I hate it a lot. Also, too, like my thing with men being able to show off their fucking pecs and like being like, "Ooh, look at how hot I look in the vineyard." It's like if women do that, we are totally toast.
Yeah.
All these men can like totally post basically thirst traps, as you would call them for women, and that's just seen as like they're just being manly in the vineyard, like yeah. It's like no, like they're definitely just using Instagram in the same way that Instagram is meant to be used. I mean, Instagram is not reality.
I felt the pressure because I started dressing worse. The more and more closer I got to making wine every vintage. Why am I wearing like nice pants and a nice shirt to go to a tasting? I've made this wine. I've co-made it with somebody else, but like, oh right, I don't look authentic. In the back of my mind, I didn't know Katherine at that point that well. Probably was like, I have to be authentic. I have to look. Where is my pigment? Where is my nail? Where's my dirt? Where's my hoodie? Where are my boots? And where is my flannel fucking shirt?
That's you embracing your authenticity versus like trying to create something that is just like, a good photo.
Well, I'm thinking back to this Carhartt winemaker, and I'm just thinking of like Jason Momoa making wine, and I'm kind of like, yeah, like I would totally buy into that. So, I mean, I've met many winemakers in the Pac Northwest.
Dude, you're probably the Jason Momoa of Champagne, so fuck yeah.
I'll
Wait, what?
I'll take that compliment.
I had no idea that's who we were talking to. I would have dressed up had I known.
I was going to say like that is kind of like the official uniform of the Pac Northwest / some people putting in work. So I would love to see more of that being celebrated. I appreciate that people want to celebrate themselves. Is it authentic? I mean, I think we all can kind of read through it. We've seen enough influencers in many industries. We know we have a few in ours. And I try not to let it bother me, there's some that I really celebrate and I just love it. I'm just like, yeah, go get it. Like, fucking get it, you know? And I love that shit. I love shaking the tree. If you guys didn't know that about me.
You're talking about someone that you know can like get it, which is like about like if someone can like get it, like and they're being their authentic self, then like that's one thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, I feel like I can deduce the difference between at least to a certain level, you know. But at the same time, my eyes are going to tell me one thing, and then the content hopefully will tell me another thing down the road. And so I'm trying to hope that they eventually meet each other. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And I want to give and make space for all folks in our industry. I think some people will find out that, you know, it's not valuable or worth it for them to continue along that path. And then there's some folks that I'm just kind of like, all right, like, you know, like you're here now, so let's run with it. Like, go and where do you go from here? And let's see where it goes, you know.
I can tell you where it goes. It goes into just like a bunch of like your time wasted on fucking Instagram and like $0 made while you promote wines that like you're not getting paid for.
Yeah.
Amen.
And don't get me wrong, I've had many of folks reach out and want to collab and, you know, send me some bottles and I'll do this. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. Like, let's talk. And I mean, I'm in charge of a business. Like, this is a business. So like, I have to be accountable for those business decisions. And usually I try to explain that and hopefully it resonates, and sometimes it doesn't. And I like I said, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt because I want them to be encouraged to evolve or grow, you know, into what I think is helpful or supportive or you know, rewarding for our community. But yeah, there's a lot of noise out there, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Okay, folks. I think we have time for one more before we've got to run here. Ice cubes and wine. I think they're okay.
Yeah,
Me
me
too.
too.
There's a time and a place for them.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. In red too.
And
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
4 wine pros agreeing with that. However many listeners are out there, you guys should all be comfortable putting your ice cubes in your wine when the time comes. Feels right.
I
No
mean,
judgment.
there are some wines that like aren't going to taste good if you put ice cubes in them, but like I'm all for the like consumer just figuring that out on their own. If you want to put ice in your wine, go for it. Like that's on you. Like the number one thing about wine that all of us professionals are, I think, mostly trying to do is just trying to get people to enjoy it. So if you enjoy it with ice, hell yeah, go for
Absolutely.
it. Like all the power to you.
Yes, to clarify, sometimes if a white wine or a rosé for the audience is not cold enough, or
Yeah.
if it's a really hot day and we have a Beaujolais or some light red.
Or if you just like don't give a shit and you just want ice cubes.
Or you want to drink Malbec at 120 degrees out.
Yeah.
Like, go for it.
Yeah.
well, and by the way, winemakers do add water. I mean, this is
Well, yes, for other
known to
reasons.
happen. So like, you're not committing a crime.
Also, too, it's just like, who cares?
Yeah. Who cares?
Right? Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
who cares? Like, I mean, like, for anyone that shames anyone for putting ice in wine, like you're saying, like, has an
Yeah.
axe to grind because they have something to prove.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you trying to prove and who cares? I can see how it could be disrespectful if someone pulled out a unicorn wine, a little callback. But
Don't make me clutch my pearl.
You are a
Yes.
wine writer.
oh, I love clutching pearls. Honestly, this kind of applies to everything to me. Is like, if someone's gonna shit on you, like about enjoying wine the way you want to enjoy it, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Yeah. Call them out and tell me who it is so I can just totally know right away that makes fun of them.
That was a unison fuck them, by the way,
Yeah.
Marissa. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it was because
Yeah.
it's like what, like anyone that's gotten to a point in their career where they feel confident in wine is like, hey, like I have nothing to really prove. Just enjoy the wine how you want to enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, let's just like have a good time.
As a wine professional, I've been talked down to about wine in my past. I wish that no one ever has to experience that with wine. It
Oh,
should
yeah.
should be fun. And
It
you
should
know,
be.
all I can suggest is maybe start with 1 cube, you know, instead of a whole cup of ice.
Don't
You
go
know?
on a whole tray.
I'm just saying. Like, just
Don't
try,
turn it into a slushy. Yeah.
just try it out. Just try 1 cube at a time. Like, and I love that.
I love that.
I love
that.
A nice rich zin on a hot day with 1 cube, or, you know, again, depending on how big your glass is, 2 cubes. Absolutely, no problem. But don't let someone tell me you can't have fun with wine.
it is time for our dessert wine course, where we each go around and just
Oh,
recommend
right.
something,
Yes.
anything you've been enjoying this week.
Sure.
Yeah. So Marissa, it sounds like maybe you've got a little virtual dessert wine to recommend.
It's actually the exact opposite of dessert wine. I went on my first health cleanse situation, not a juice cleanse, but this is my first time drinking in 10 days. And I feel awesome about it. And it's making me like love wine even more. And like as someone that went, probably like 5 years without taking a break from drinking wine, like because it was part of my job, it's made me really, really appreciate wine again.
Well, I'll tell you guys what I'm drinking right now. This is delicious. This is Panther Creek's Willamette Valley Winemakers Cuvée, and it's the 2019. It's juicy, and I mean, I hate to be super like chill with the tasting note, but I get a lot of cherry cola, like cherry Coke, and I'm loving that about it.
Cherry cola.
Like it's so cool. Like,
Philippe,
so
I
cool.
love how you are such a booster for Oregon wines.
Oh,
Makes me so happy.
I've noticed
well,
that. Yeah.
I like good wine.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, go out and check out Panther Creek's Willamette Pinot, and let's do it. Have some fun. If you like cherry Coke, that is. With popcorn and M&Ms.
I'm inspired. Thank you.
Yeah.
Quickly, because we got to run. My dessert course is going to be log rolling for my own cause, which is the Four Top, the amazing podcast we're on right now. We did talk about natural wine this evening, so go back and listen to episode 94 about the natural wine Cold War, in which we hear Esther Mobley and Amanda Smeltz talking about natural wine. And that is all I've got.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much to our fantastic panelists. That was very fun.
And you can find Marissa Ross online at wine-allthetime.com.
Don't forget that hyphen. And you can find Philippe André on Instagram at Nique Somm. That's Nique for Oceanique, Somm, Somm.
Excellent. And you can find me, Martin Reyes, at reyeswinegroup.com, at napathrives.org, and a few other places too.
And you can find me, Katherine Cole, at katherinecole.com, or even better, thefourtop.org. That's where I really want you to go to find our social media handles and get in touch with us. Tweet at us, message us by Instagram. We want to hear what you think
signals,
about
carrier pigeons. Yeah, send us anything you want.
Yeah, we want to hear you kvetch and share with us your hot takes about cold wine or room temperature wine. And please subscribe to The Four Top on your favorite podcast app. Please leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts so others can find us. Signing out from the high-fiber, protein-packed city of Portland, Oregon. Thank you so much for listening, and bye-bye.
Ciao.
This has been the Four Top Podcast. Katherine Cole is our executive producer. Izzy Kramer is our senior producer. And I'm Keelan King, sound supervisor. We are also assisted by audio editor, Michelle Richards, our production assistant, Rachel Grossman, creative assistant, Lex Rule, and editorial assistant, Nick Toole. Please visit our website, thefourtop.org, to learn more about us, listen to back episodes, reach out to us on social media, and purchase books written by our amazing panelists. And if you have not already subscribed to The Four Top on iTunes or Spotify, please do so and leave us a rating. Stay safe out there, and thanks for listening.